Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the Northern Arizona Wranglers pregame show. James Spoovy coming to you live here alongside my broadcast partner, Mr. Ed Cole. Ed, we got a big game, another big game, because it's the next game on the schedule against the Duke City Gladiators tonight. Our guys are on the road in Rio Rancho this evening to battle those Gladiators.
And that is a huge game because Duke City is fighting for the third or fourth spot, so this is a very important game for them. Of course, it's important for the Wranglers because, as you mentioned, it is the very next game. And next week, we've got our first home playoff game ever. But first, we've got to take care of business in Rio Rancho, get on that bus, and get back and get ready for the game next weekend.
It was a successful game last week inside the Findlay Toyota Center there in Prescott Valley, Arizona, against a very good, very talented Bismarck Bucks team. The Bucks gave the Wranglers all they could handle, but fortunately, the Northern Arizona Wranglers able to pull ahead there in that second half and ultimately come up with the win last week in front of the home crowd, going 8-0, Ed, at home this season, undefeated, outstanding football at home this year for the Wranglers.
Yeah, James, what an incredible mark to go undefeated at home. We know how difficult it is. From the game. That's cool.
All right. Well,
go ahead, James.
Quite run the video there. Go ahead, Ed. What were you saying? I'm sorry.
That's okay. I mean, we could have let it run. It would have been our play-by-play call, but still, it was tight, folks. It was 19-14 at halftime, and Bismarck, we knew they were going to come in tough. They were on a 10-game losing streak. They were desperate to finish the season on a winning note, and again, to spoil the Northern Arizona Wranglers' run toward the playoffs. But whatever happened in that locker room at halftime, they came out and the defense put a lock on that end zone, only giving up 7 points. The offense was on fire, scoring 27 points. So basically they outscored Bismarck by 20 in the second half, James, and took over the game and won by 25.
It kind of became a track meet there in the second half. Let's go ahead. We'll step aside a little bit here, Ed, and take a look at some of those highlights from that 46-21 victory over those Bismarck Bucks last week at home inside the FTC. Fourth down and 4 now. Sanders from the shotgun, empty backfield. Hungerford comes unabated. The ball falls incomplete. In coverage was Bill Atkins, and Edward Vander once again the intended target that time for Bismarck. 3rd and 1 here. Barker surveys, he's going to run it himself, tuck it, and he's into the end zone for the touchdown. Caleb Barker extending the football out along the goal line and scoring it for the Wranglers with 10 seconds left in the half. Caldwell goes to the air, the final play of the ball game, and Bill Atkins puts down another INT for the Wranglers, and he'll kneel it down at the 7. 1st and 10, Caleb Barker sends 2 in motion. He looks to throw, he fires down the field, it's complete for the touchdown. Jeremy Neal on the reception. A beautifully thrown football there from Caleb Barker to Jeremy Neal, and the protection up front was magnificent.
It was stellar, outstanding.
Israel Tucker flanked to his left. Izzy Tucker gets the call, he shakes the defender and weaves his way to the end zone for the touchdown. Israel Tucker plunges it in for the Wranglers, and they extend the lead now.
It's a touchdown.
Caleb Barker now behind the block from Israel Tucker, and Tucker cleans out 2 players to get Barker to the end zone for the touchdown. Oh my goodness, how about that, Izzy Tucker? 2 receivers go in motion now for Giovanni Sanders. He looks to throw, he just kind of flings it up into the air, it's intercepted. Keontae Northington at the 3-yard line. The intended target for Bismarck was Edgar Allan Poe Jr., and Northington just high-pointing the football. Empty backfield here for Caleb Barker. He's going to give it to Israel. He fakes to give to Israel Tucker. He's wide open. 5, 10, touchdown into the end zone for Caleb Barker. Barker from an empty backfield. Surveys, pressure comes from Dobbs up the middle. He fires, and it's complete for the touchdown. Jeremy Neal has the football, and it is indeed confirmed a touchdown for the Wranglers. Caleb Barker took a shot from Jaden Dobbs, but stood in strong and delivered a strike to Jeremy Neal.
Yes, he did, Barker. Great throw. He threads the needle. Talk about a needle.
Caldwell gets a low snap. Pressure comes. He's flushed out of the pocket. He goes down, throws. It's intercepted. Bill Atkins off of a Darren Hungerford block. And Atkins across midfield, breaks loose at the 10, juking a tackler, and into the end zone for the touchdown. Bill Atkins all the way, housing it. Pick six, big fella.
Some kind of game last week inside the FTC, Ed. I'm excited again for Wranglers football this week. We got a tough matchup tonight against the Duke City Gladiators, but last week, those Wranglers were shot out of the cannon there in the second half against those Bismarck Bucks.
Oh, absolutely. And also, we've got to give some musical production love to Quentin Randolph, wide receiver, Wranglers wide receiver, one of the starters tonight. Quentin Randolph on the production. What a slam and beat there was to go underneath that top 10. What a great way to accompany that. But yes, James, that was some second half. Talk about adjustments. An entirely different football team came out at the FTC in the Northern Arizona Wranglers in that last 30 minutes of football. And as we mentioned, outscoring Bismarck by 20 and completely taking the game over and ending up undefeated 8-0 at home.
The Wranglers will finish the regular season tonight at Rio Rancho, New Mexico against the Duke City Gladiators. We'll step aside here, take a short time out on the Northern Arizona Wranglers pregame show, come back here and take a look at the last time we played these Duke City Gladiators just a few weeks ago. Stay with us here on the pregame show. More to come right after this.
That's funny. Desert Schools changed their name.
Yeah, now it's Desert Financial.
Alice Cooper! Wait, what are you doing here?
I'm telling everyone, school's out.
For summer?
Forever.
Whoa! Whoa!
Dude, put your card in.
You got a voice, Molly. Use it. Do it for the phone.
Let's do it for the phone. They do so much for you. When they're out there all alone, there's something we can do. T-Mobile, look at these apps, they don't lie. And faster speeds nationwide. Let's do it for the phone.
We welcome you back inside for the Northern Arizona Wranglers pregame show at the Duke City Gladiators tonight. The guys on the road in Rio Rancho, New Mexico. I'm James Poovey coming to you live alongside my color analyst, Mr. Ed Cole. Ed, an exciting matchup once again this evening against a very tough, very dangerous Duke City team, but a team tonight, as we just learned just a little bit ago before we came on the air here, without Dello Davis.
Yeah, that was a shocker. Getting that information from our director of communications on site, Tucker Welch, let us know that Dello Davis was released by the Duke City Gladiators, so he's no longer in the lineup. But that doesn't make them any less dangerous as an offense. You got Ramon Atkins, who's thrown 50 touchdowns this season, 15 on the ground. So he's got weapons, and Elmore and Greg Dent Jr. So he's still got weapons that he has at his disposal to throw the ball to. And we saw it last weekend. JP, go ahead and roll those highlights from San Diego. How they were able to rally back, James. They were down 9 points with 1 minute left in the game. We'll just see how their defense and their offense and defense played so well during that game against San Diego, JP. They went back and forth. And then, of course, as you and I were driving back down the hill, we listened to the last minute of that game, and it was a absolute thriller of an ending.
You talk about a barn burner. That is exactly what that game was. It was back and forth, a nail biter all the way down to I think the last minute of game time, Ed. It was literally 25, almost 30 minutes. We were just about back down to Maricopa County by the time that game ended, after we did an episode of the Wranglers Roundup there at the Colt Grill in Prescott Valley. But it was an exciting game, and Duke City really played their tails off that night, getting the victory ultimately over the San Diego Strike Force 53-51.
Yes, it was crazy. They were down 9 points, as we mentioned, with about a minute, 56 seconds or so left to go. And then they scored 18 points in under a minute, James. That was an incredible comeback for Duke City, and then Ramon Atkins walks it off with a touchdown right at the end to, I believe it was to Greg Dent Jr. as they walk it off and they get the victory, and that sets them up in good position for this game tonight and in playoff position. But that just lets you know, JP, the Wranglers will clearly not take this team for granted. We saw what happened a few weeks ago up in Prescott Valley, so we can expect more fireworks tonight in Rio Rancho.
You mentioned a couple of weeks ago up in Prescott Valley. We'll take a look at that footage here in just a moment. But the Gladiators, extremely deadly, especially on offense. They have a very big offensive line. They block really well for the quarterback, and they have a lot of weapons on offense, and then guys that can ball hawk as well on the defensive side of the football. We saw it, as you mentioned, just a couple of weeks ago up in Prescott Valley.
Oh, yeah, we saw Jason Serta at that linebacker position. Byron, the top 2 tackles for loss leaders in the indoor football league. Serta's got 18. Byron Cooper's got 17 and a half. So the offensive line, which will be led by Jacoby Smith, Josh Poe, and Zach Thomas, by the way, we'll get the starters in. Caleb Barker, Izzy Tucker at the running back spot, Glenn Gibbons Jr., Quentin Randolph, Jeremy Neal. That'll round out the starters on offense, JP. But it'll be a tough one tonight. The defense will be they'll have to be on their A game. They're the number 1 defense in the league for a reason, because they come prepared, and they have to come prepared tonight against the number 1 passing offense in the indoor football league.
It is going to be an exciting one tonight inside the Rio Rancho Event Center there in Rio Rancho, New Mexico. We'll step aside here, take a short timeout, and come right back with some final thoughts before kickoff here, and we'll head you over to the Indoor Football League YouTube channel for the broadcast of tonight's game between your Northern Arizona Wranglers and the Duke City Gladiators. Stay with us just another couple of minutes before kickoff here on the pregame show.
Buffalo Wild Wings win-win value lineup gives you and your friends more for less. With buy one, get one half off traditional wings every Tuesday. Buy one, get one free boneless wings every Thursday. And $3 tolls every day. Only at Buffalo Wild Wings.
I've got that blue sky. I've got that sunshine.
You got a voice, Molly. Use it. Do it for the phone.
Let's do it for the phone. They do so much for you. When they're out there all alone, there's something we can do. T-Mobile, look at these maps, they don't lie. And faster speeds nationwide. Let's do it for the phone.
If you're struggling to pay your energy bill or know someone who is, we're here to help. Find APS Bill Assistance programs to reduce your monthly payment or help pay down the bill. Short-term relief like crisis bill assistance can help during a rough patch, while our energy support program can reduce your bill every month. Explore all your assistance options and see if you qualify at aps.com/here to help.
Welcome back for the Northern Arizona Wranglers pregame show. The Wranglers on the road tonight in Rio Rancho, New Mexico to battle the Duke City Gladiators. Ed, I'm very excited to see this team just continue to click on all cylinders. Excited to see some of these guys get back into the lineup. You mentioned Quentin Randolph, among others, getting the start tonight. I want to see those guys really performing at their peak here as we enter the playoffs coming up next Saturday night inside the FTC.
Absolutely. We gave the offensive starters. Let's give the defensive starters real quick before we get out of here. Yerrick Jones, Tremont Lofton, Kenton Bartlett on the defensive line, Darren Hungerford at the linebacker spot, Trey Meadows, Bill Atkins, the defensive player of the week for the Indoor Football League, by the way, with his pick six, his 2 interceptions to end the game against Bismarck. Tevin Homer and Marquise Bridges round out your defense. But yes, James, I want them to start off fast because we know how dangerous and deadly that Duke City offense is. Again, Ramon Atkins, 50 touchdowns on the season. This kid's no joke, and he can run the football. He had 2 rushing touchdowns last weekend in San Diego, so the defense is going to have to play their best. Caleb Barker is going to have to play his best game and lead his offense down the field for multiple scores, a lot of scores, because it may be that kind of game where it's a high-scoring affair like it was 3 weeks ago up in Prescott Valley.
One thing you absolutely do not want to do is leave the Duke City Gladiators any glimmer of hope in the football game. As you saw last week in San Diego, they will take advantage of every second that's left on that clock, and they know how to strike very quickly if need be, especially late in the ball game.
Absolutely.
So it's going to be an exciting one tonight inside the Rio Rancho Event Center there in Rio Rancho, New Mexico. We're signing off for now, but come back here to the Northern Arizona Wranglers YouTube channel. We'll have halftime coverage for you right back here in the same location, and then we'll be back as well with you in the post-game show, and we'll recap tonight's game at the Duke City Gladiators. Thank you again for joining us. We hope you enjoyed tonight's game. We're going to pop over now to the Indoor Football League YouTube channel to catch the broadcast online. We encourage you to do the same thing, and then make sure and come back here with us for halftime and post-game coverage later this evening. Have a great game, and go Wranglers.
Go Wranglers.